This is the second part of the breathing film. So I'm going to use a Jo and a Ken, but not that you should be looking at it for technical points, because I'm just going to show you this top half. It's about the breath. And I've said on an earlier film with the Jo that I sort of disagree with Saito Sensei making us count, because when he, you know, in his younger days, if he done it very dynamically and powerfully, you don't hear him counting, he's just going flat out. And also the teachers that I trained with in my younger period, when I was also hopefully dynamic and fast, you don't have time to count, it would just be gibberish. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, he says you go, it'd just be a pointless exercise. I think because he sort of wanted to take O-Sensei's technical and make sure that the world knew about the simplest of O-Sensei's work and how the world seems to want to complicate it. But this gave him what he called the 1, 2, 3 method, and everything has a count to it. With the partner Ken, you would cut, step to the side, and you would count. He would say 2 seconds, but we would actually find it would be more like 5 seconds, what he considered was 2. The point I'm trying to make here is he had a counting method, counting system he created. To my knowledge, O-Sensei didn't. So when he says it's a 31 count kata, he insisted that we all counted, but that was only when we were going through the form, like edge, and then we would do it. And what I've found in the students around the world who I'm teaching, if they're teachers before me or even in my class, they get misinterpreted in what you're saying. If you're going to count, I'll go back a bit. If you're going to count and you start by going edge, knee, the count may start slightly earlier than the action, but you haven't got any power. The breath is going to stimulate the body, and the body is going to call forth this power. We call it Kokyu in Aikido, Qigong in Tai-chi, Prana in yoga, you know, and so it goes on, and I'm sure in all the different languages around the world it'll have a name. But it means using the breath to its best. And if you're going to use the breath to its best, you can't do it if you're going to be counting. So I encourage you again, like in the early films, to edge, in breath, action, count, in breath, action, not in breath, or we don't even, in a lot of cases, people are not even thinking about their breath. This is even worse. So it's not edge, because you're finding breath that's obviously come in without thought. But what use is it? Because you haven't summoned up a great power. You've just sort of expelled what you've got in your lungs. So if you breathe in through the nose, edge, and then call forth your breath and push it out, both lungs will push this power out. I had a teacher once who, when young, had a lung removed. I don't know if it was through TB, but he had a lung removed. He became a top teacher in the UK, Mr. Hayden Foster. He only had one lung, but you'd never know it watching him dynamically teach year after year. And of course he said that Aikido made him stronger, therefore made his lungs, the one lung stronger, and made it work at its most efficient. So I'll go over it again. Breathe in through the nose. Count. Itch. Expel. Now, I'm going to say the same with the can, but like a jug pouring water into a small receptacle. As you pour it, if the mouth is small of the receptacle, then you'll pour it sensibly. If you were pouring it into a bucket, you could just pour it. But the breath needs to be like pouring into something small, so that you observe what you're doing. Now, the breath, once practiced, and it needs practicing for years. Don't think you're going to get this in a week or months even. It's going to need to be practiced year after year in different formats, perhaps through different arts, different exercises. You will perform this until you realise that you learn to be able to control the balance and quality, where you're not sort of holding yourself tense with holding the breath and then let it all out. You will take this in and you will release it efficiently. Then we get to the next stage, where in the original Iwama training, we would have to do ki-ai. Sensei would shout at you if you didn't, and they said you could hear Sensei's ki-ais across the other side of the village. I don't know if that's a fairy tale, but it's a very big village when I've been there. So I think that must have been a very still night, or the wind carrying his ki-ai. But anyhow, you can make a ki-ai very loud if you're in full breath and you're in full committed power. We call this kokyu. Okay, so as with pouring the jug through a small receptacle, I'm going to now say that the jug has ki-ai. The jug holds the ki-ai. So the power comes from the ki-ai. But you don't have ki-ai without control of breath, and you don't have breath without control of body and mind. The mind has to tell the body how it comes in, how it goes out. The timing of not counting while doing the action is the same as thought process, action, not thought while doing the action. I hope you can see the overlap. It's the yin and yang factor. Breathing in. Pushing it deep down into your body. This is muscular, but not so you feel tense. So breathing in. Edge. I'm not going to make a loud ki-ai because I'm in a village myself and I'm working in the garden, but this ki-ai should ring out. I don't want to frighten the neighbours or the people nearby, so please forgive me for that. I will just make the sound, but it's a controlled ki-ai from the breath. Edge. And of course the ki-ai and breath is longer on the out than on the in, as I've talked about in the first film.